horse drifted alarmingly in the betting was, Felsted in the morning continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Buttons.
The ground is soft. It's
heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
Hello, and a big warm welcome. Yes, we're back. It's the Barsteward's Inquiry Sunday Sermon. It felt strange not doing a Friday show this week, I have to admit, but we'll make up for it today. And joining me, as always, John Lang and Chris Lorne Malvo. Great to have you back, chaps.
Likewise.
Yeah, this is why we do it. John, are you in good form?
It's cool being a cat, isn't it?
Cool for cats,
Yes.
yeah. Right. Yeah, who sang that? Cool for cats. Squeeze, that's it, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Back in the memory. Straight on with, because I've got to say, we're overwhelmed by the response of the questioning this week. You've put some amazing questions in, so without further ado, let's get on with it, and we'll get as many questions answered as possible. If we don't, I'm sorry, it's just time and everything else, and I want you to understand that I'm not just ignoring you. And we'll try and answer them on the thread anyway, the ones that we don't. Yesterday, John, we started off with Living the Dream, and there's been a few comments, put your questions thread, saying another disappointing favourite that drifts. What was your take on it?
At least you've got to look at the front. The ones we've been on about, they've just never figured, have they? Haydock's not the best place for it, in my opinion.
No.
It's not an easy 5. It's a 5 where you can win held up. And I tend to think that outside of York, the Grade 1 tracks in this country aren't really playing to its strengths.
That's very true.
Also, I did read that he'd stumbled early on.
Yeah, I didn't see that myself.
I mean, when you got a blaster like that, you need everything to go right, because anything that loses your momentum early on, you're paying double for at the end when you're clinging on by a thread. I can't have it that was unaccountably bad. Mainly because I had it in my head it'd get beat, I think. But
I think back in my mind, I think they've got more of a back-end campaign for it. I reckon they're thinking they might go King George at Goodwood, Nunthorpe,
their show,
and then off to Yanksville.
Yeah.
To try and do that Breeders' Cup thingy-majig again. Look, the horse might not be totally cherry right, but yesterday's reasoning for me why it got beat, and I know this is a bit Chris Pooley, but it was quite a severe headwind yesterday at Haydock. And obviously you're having to do the donkey work with Democracy Dilemma, and the one getting all the tour and the drag, as they say in Formula One terms, was the winner Believing, who had the nice cover and the toe in that air corridor that is required to run into wind. I mean, that's why Newcastle's hard from front, because they often get headwinds because of direction track faces. And you mentioned Haydock, John, and I think that's the very thing with Haydock. Front runners of a straight course, if they're running into that westerly or northwesterly, they really start to paddle, because it's hard doing 42, 43 into that and to sustain it in that last sort of furlong and a bit.
It's just a 5, isn't it?
It is. I've been to Haydock many a time, and probably like yourself, and I've actually been on track, and to me, it's slightly uphill as well. It's like the gradient. It's not noticeable. Definitely, it's in downhill or it's in flat. It's definitely got this sort of slightly uphill tinge to it. So, yeah, like you said, John, probably not its track. We don't see out wrong in that yesterday. I know there's been a lot of drifting favs, but that might have been reason. Wind form, perhaps. Coming on to your favourite now, John. Bingo. Wesley Ward. He's come out this week and moaning about expenses. Owners aren't backing product anymore.
Good, don't come.
Yeah. Well, they're sick of doing their money every year when he tells them, oh, you're going to win, and it's fucking tailed off. So, yeah.
And he's got just the 3 runners this year in 3 2-year-old races. That's all he's got. What I found was something quite interesting. So, Wesley Ward, from 2009 to 2017, when he started bringing him across.
Yeah.
So that's 2009 to 2017, 21% strike rate and making plenty, right? That's pretty good for a Royal Meeting. If you're 21% over that time, that's shit up, really, when you consider what you're taking on. Then from 2018 onwards, he's 3 from 41, 7%. As the juice ran out, John.
Yes.
Don't forget, he's had a lot of doping charges, hasn't he, in US?
Yeah, he's a twat, isn't he? No, I'm sorry. He's an insufferable twat. And
Yeah.
the media's love affair with him just gets right under your toenails.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing likeable about him. Now the owners are not buying the fucking snake oil
Yeah.
and paying for him to come and start acting the bloody goat at Royal Ascot every year.
Yeah.
Well, what we fucking do won't be missed. Piss off.
Yeah. Quite right. Echo that. Echo sentiments. Yeah.
Spoken like a true Yorkshireman, John. Ain't got any change, love.
No.
Yeah. You're out, love. Yeah,
You're right.
out. Do you want out? Yeah. I've only got a fiver. Yeah.
That's Purple Door compared to Stringfellows, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
We're losing it already. We're not even off at racing yet.
No, quite.
Right, so Wesley Ward, yeah, we're not fans. Good old Binger with his teeth and his sunglasses. He'll be there at Ascot with his 3 2-year-olds, which he's, of course, very positive about, all 3 of them, which he's got to be. All machines. Haydock, Friday, we saw the mass pullout of 27 non-runners, John. I might have got that wrong, but it's somewhere in that region.
I stopped counting at 19.
I think it did get up to about 27, and
Yeah.
what looked a fantastic card turned into a bit of a drab fest with small fields, and it was rather embarrassing. Sadly,
Well, the trainers are wankers, aren't they?
yeah, absolutely. There's no excuse for this, because I get it that they might have entered for sort of the advertised ground at that time, which was what, good to soft or whatever at the time of probably entry. It might have been softer even at that point when they entered. So I kind of understand it a little bit. But for pulling them out, that's not unsafe ground. And even the jockeys came back Friday night and said, oh, it was riding like quick cider good. It was quickish. You know, it wasn't unsafe. I said to you during the day, there must be some underlying reason, like track must be rough or something, and words got round.
Yeah.
Because it sent Salt Newmarket lot were taking them out right, left, and centre. It just sent very weird. And I did feel for Clark of the course. And what impressed me about him, Gravy Train Graham interviewed him on the Friday night. And I thought he handled himself brilliant. He just kind of said, look, it is what it is. I decided not to water because there were showers forecast. And if we'd have watered and showers had come, it'd have been boggy because it won't take much to turn it that way. So he handled Graham fantastically well. And he got a lot of stick the other week for obviously cluelessly watering before the deluges. So it seems like Clark, sometimes we give him stick, but I thought he did right this week. I think it was the right call. What do you make of it?
Yeah, completely the right call.
Yeah.
He can't be held responsible for trainers being a load of fucking sheep.
Yeah. Like Stuart Williams, friend of the show, he always likes our stance on this. He hates the July course like you, John, because he says it's just literally always overwatered. Why tracks aren't producing quicker side of good ground? And what do trainers expect? It's middle of summer. Bonkers. You should be having good to firm ground all summer. It's madness. I'm a big fan of what that Haydock Clark did overnight. We could all give him stick at right time, but in that interview, he sort of gave it back to Gravy Train Graham, who were trying to put him on a skewer, if you like, for not watering. But we're in a situation now where they're making the Clarks water because they know they're not going to get any runners, John.
Oh, absolutely. Really, the VHA can't do a lot. Clarks can only provide good to firm ground. The blame squarely lies with the trainers. What are you going to do?
Shame on the trainers that were pulling out willy-nilly, because we've been in racing a long time and we always say that unless you've got a rabid nutcase that pulls hard and goes off bananas, in general, horses that don't like fast ground won't let themselves down on it. There are some horses that are a bit thick. If you've got an horse with a good mind and not daft, then it's just going to look after itself if it's finding conditions a bit quick. As in, it knows when its joints hurt. Bath is the testament to it. And I think we've absolutely made a complete mess the last 15 to 20 years of this.
There's Decron available now as well. That's a game changer.
Decron from Northallerton Feeds. Yes, it is the game changer. Willie Mullins is a client now. The baby Joseph. What is Decron again?
There's wraps and there's a gel. I'd apply the gel and then put a wrap on, I think. Double.
Yeah.
3 wraps for 100. Tick you
Yeah.
till Wednesday. Yeah.
I hope Decron is listening to this and Northallerton Feeds, because another nice plug there. Anyway.
Free plug.
Free plug, disgrace.
Yeah.
You won't pay. I've asked them.
They're raving about it in your market, to be fair.
I know they are.
Put your money where your mouth is, trainers. Leave them in, and then give them some in Decron.
That's it. Rafe Ralph, our favourite, actually come out with some fantastic comments, John, this week.
Yes.
The first person I thought of was you. One of the reasons that you fell in love with sport was your dad took you to races. He showed you horses.
Said, sit there and shut up.
I'm putting this bet on now.
Yeah.
Now shut up.
Yeah, there. Don't fucking mow. 1.5 hours later.
Yeah, you highlighted this about how important it is to see the runners in the paddock and the education that you had from people growing up on paddock watching and horses. And that's what ignited your interest into the sport. And like Rafe says, it's a disgrace when runners aren't coming into paddocks or they're coming in late and literally you get to see them for 30 seconds and jockeys on and off and they're off. What's your opinion on Rafe Ralph's comments this week on paddock?
I tend to think if you're a committed paddock watcher, which would mean seasoned race goer, obviously, you can generally get round it by going to the pre-parade ring.
Yeah.
Because you can see them without all the accoutrements anyway. You can see them saddle free. In all honesty, you can get a better look at them to see what sort of fettle they're in. However, I fully take on board what he's saying because your average race goer isn't even forced to stake out the pre-parade ring. The more likely to congregate at the parade ring, wanting to see the horses. And it's just dilatory on the part of the trainers, really not getting them in and doing a couple of laps.
Yeah.
There's no excuse. I'm no fan of parades in front of the stands before big races because I would always argue that anybody who wants to see them can piss off to the paddock. But if they're not doing a couple of laps, well, that puts a hole in that argument. So
yeah,
they want to start finding the English youngster, they were quite happy to find people for being late in and late saddling and things. So start finding them again.
Yeah. Right. So Rafe on the right side of the bar stewards for once. Betfred ad I saw the other day. Now we're going to come on to this. We've predicted this. I'm going to bring Chris in here as well because the direction of travel, Chris.
Yes.
We've said this for a long time that you could see what the affordability checks were all about. It was all about weeding out the bigger punters that were quite dangerous to the online operators and the sharps. However, it's now been proven right because we've said that was what they were doing because they wanted like mini bloggers en masse. Lads, sockless, bet builders, all this shit, right? So
yeah.
The latest Betfred ad was quite astonishing. It showed one chap saying, "Oh yeah, I just back favourites," and then another one said, "I just pick names," and then someone else said, "I just back outsiders," and then says, "Yeah, when I get to £10, that's enough."
Yeah.
The messaging, in other words, that is going for your absolute wagon, isn't it?
Totally. That's telling you in a very slick way exactly what their target demographic is. People that don't apply any craft or skill to the selection process. And in any event, even if they do, they bet at a very, very low level. It's basically looking for volume punters who are mugs. And it's also giving a nod to the prevailing wisdom, which says all gambling is for mugs, so keep it within tiny amounts. That's it. Quite a brilliant summary of where we are. I think it's quite a good ad to portray the scenario we predicted.
But again, coming from the left field side of it, isn't that going to create more problem gambling?
Yeah.
Because you haven't educated them.
No.
It's all about education in terms of, it's certainly do seminars on it, educate people on how variance is and how to go about your business.
But they don't want that, do they? Bookmakers don't want that. So this is a halfway house, isn't this? Is sort of giving a nod to the, must bet responsibly, so keep it small because you can't win. But in any event, give it a spin, you never know. That's it. It's like the national lottery, isn't it? You know you're not going to win, but there's always a chance you might. It's going to be a volume product for very unsophisticated individuals, and that's where we are.
How can any sport that relies on betting, because racing isn't like football.
To answer your question before you finish it can't. That's the tragedy, that the people in charge at the BHA don't understand the long-term effects that their support has sort of given to this. They don't get it. It seems to be there's only a very small number growing number of people actually understanding that racing is heaping its own funeral pie, and nobody at the top seems to understand that it's only going to go in one direction.
Well, you think they'd learn from experience, and despite the dislike of this podcast from the powers that be,
Yes.
and a lot of other people that talk very eloquently and
Yes.
wouldn't have anything to do with us,
No,
the
quite
fact
right.
is, a gambling commission talks about lived experience. Well, what
Yes.
about our lived
That's
experience?
irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. You do get it, but it's lived experience, but only the lived experience that supports the ideological narrative that they're pushing on us. So anybody that runs counter to that narrative or expresses an opinion that opposes that, your opinion doesn't count. It's plain as a pikestaff, isn't it? The lived experience only matters if you are supporting the narrative.
All three of us, and I know this, I don't even have to ask you, that got into this because we all thought, like in the very beginning, when we thought, we all thought, this is fascinating. We can make money at this.
Yes.
The problem is the dumbing down of society, which is obviously taking place right now across all sorts of platforms.
Yep.
Mainstream TV or whatever, right? A massive dumbing down. There's no education.
No.
Like, first thing I did, Chris, were buy books at 14, 15 to read to improve my knowledge. I didn't even know what a dosage index was till I read Nick Morden. And there was other books, Dick Mitchell, that I swear by to this day on psychology. Joseph Badachi's wrote some fantastic articles from Pinnacle. I'm still learning every day, which I find fascinating.
But that's about craft, application, and apprenticeship. That's about improving your skills. You know, we live in a society that concept of apprenticeship, study, and learning sold hat. I want it now. I want an instant result. I don't want to study. I don't want to fucking work for it. Just give me it. Give me the answer. and that's true of lots of different things in society. People just don't want to study for stuff because it's boring. And, you know, and people's attention span is so short. Look how the number of readers of books has declined over the decades. People don't want to devote that kind of time to learning. And that's not just true of racing, but it's true of lots of things.
John, obviously you got into this game like quite a young age. I think you've had a pretty good life, really, in what you've done. People you've met, been around, you've been on Betfair a long time, you've kept hanging in there. And it's like, do you find it disappointing now how they sort of, say, teaching youngsters, they're trying to protect youngsters, but they're not educating them, John?
No, and as you both alluded to, it's the same rate across society. I mean, anybody want an example, you only have to look at this current election coverage. There's definitely an agenda towards dumbing down because they don't want a workforce capable of critical thought.
No.
Analysing the policies. There's not a fag paper between the two main parties. Whichever party's being interviewed, the narrative is all the same. It's this ludicrous assumption through neoliberal economics that the nation's credit card's maxed out. When everybody that bothers to take a look knows that treating a country like a household credit card is the biggest load of bunkum there ever was. But it's like Keynesian economics never fucking existed, which is what brought us out of World War II. When the country was in worse shape than it is now. There's an example, and that's the narrative. This is the narrative when it comes to the betting.
Why have we got several organisations in this sport? Nevin obviously has left the jockey club. Well, he announced he's leaving, he's standing down from his role at the jockey club. I get why he's doing it, because it's a busted flush in that what they've created is a monster where the only funding model, as you said, John, is to fleece punters to make money.
Well, yeah, that's it. It's a flawed model insofar as there isn't another sport on earth that tries to do this because it's not a long-term winner. Every decision the regulatory body makes that's not in favour of the punters immediately has shade cast upon it, whether it's complicit with the bookmakers or not. That's always going to be the accusation. They appoint absolute fucking dilberts in key positions. Nevin's done the right thing. I mean, the minute anybody's hiring Dido Harding to do everything, you just fucking head for the hills, don't you?
Speaking of Dido Harding, Phil Bull's been on. He said, will Dido Harding go for a win double and bulldoze both Haydock and Kempton?
Well, yeah. Build more houses.
Wouldn't be a shot.
She's blown up more fucking tanks than Rommel, wouldn't she? Everything that woman touches turns to ash.
Am I being
Extraordinary.
another tinfoil hatter and a conspiracy theorist again by saying, have they appointed Dido Harding because of her potential influence in government that will enable her to get planning permission for Kempton that was previously refused?
Well,
for
gee.
how-
Really sold it like she's in a position to gain influence, but I mean, who the fuck is going to listen to her? Really? I mean,
Oh, I don't think she's there. I don't think she's there.
even your mentalist of mentalists in government now. What's that fella with the straw hair called that looks a bit like John's?
Fabricant.
Yeah, Litchfield fella. Yeah. Even somebody like him would keep her at arm's length, wouldn't they, with her track record? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Chris, do you think there's credence in that theory that she's there for a sell-off?
Yeah, I really do. And if you'd said that to me 5 years ago, I said no. But now, actually, a lot of theories that were considered out there are very much main. So I don't think that's 1,000 to 1 shot. I really don't. They tried, didn't they? And they got bashed on the head. And there's an awful lot more money in it by selling off a housing there is than running fucking a race course. So yeah, why not? They did it with greyhounds, didn't they?
Everyone knows the JC are cash skint. They've got assets beyond belief, but cash-wise and cash flow, they need cash.
They're illiquid, aren't they? So they need readies right now. So yeah, why not?
I wonder what the paintings are worth.
Oh, lumps, aren't they? All those Alfred Munnings or whatever they've got hanging up there.
There's no wall space down there, you know.
No. I've seen it when people's gone in and had a tour and stuff.
I'm dreaming. I've seen it for myself, and fucking hell.
Wall to wall of nearly priceless art.
Oh, for fakes, I reckon. I swear after Moody. We should have a show on that. That's one of the worst kept secrets of the art
We've got some of them right big fuckers, Chris, and you can't even get them at the range now to do a print.
Have they bought them from Lucky Luckies?
I wonder. I mean, that's the one. I was speaking to an art dealer a few years ago, and he was saying something crazy like, despite all the provenance, he reckons that about 30% of these paintings sold at auction around the world are Moody, but everybody fucking knows except the punter. But of course, there's no incentive for anyone to break cover because they're all earning big.
Well, the auction house aren't going to be bothered. They're massive commission.
Yep. Dealers? Nope, certainly not.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Provenance? Yes, looks good to us.
We're going to have a big auction next week and auction them all off while fucking Bingo's here with his daft owners that'll spend money on out.
Yeah. Here, have a painting, yeah.
Take a painting back to Texas, will you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You're not taking any prize money, so take a fucking painting.
Yeah. Are you sure this picture of a crying clown is an Alfred Munnings? Oh, yeah, fucking genuine. Look. Yeah, Albert Munnings. Yeah.
It's like that Mr. Bean one, isn't it? Whistler's mother.
Yes. Whistler's mother, yeah. Fucking hell.
When he draws a face on. Yeah.
Yes, it's like the old thing was, Jesus fingers comes in boxes of 20. So, yeah.
Stephen Thomas has been on and he said, how can the Jockey Club reverse the decline in national status of the Derby? TV viewing figures massively down, only 27,000 on course. Worcester on the same day had 10,000. It may still be a great race, but it's no longer a national event. Is the decline irreversible?
No, it's not. It's not reversible. And that's jumping. My view is it's like betting shops. Years ago they had a place in the community and they were part of life. Used to, on a Saturday, used to get their bets together, send someone down to go and do it. Derby was a big event. The world's moved on. There's so many different things competing for people's attention that I think it's in inexorable decline. I really do. I don't think you can revitalise it particularly and turn it into something that it was.
Yeah, John.
Well, short of going real low end in the middle of the track and busting them in from Streatham and Balham, I don't see what you could do to fill the place now. They made it more elite when they stopped letting folks go in the middle for now. That was their decision. And that filled it up because people had a Friday out. And it was people at the lower end of the scale. But they can always pencil Derby Day because it didn't cost them now to get on. All they needed was the betting money and a few bottles of light ale. But now you have to pay. And it's up against everything else, as Chris pointed out. And really, you'd be rebuilding from scratch. And it doesn't just start with the Derby because the Derby wasn't standalone back then when it first came to national prominence. Racing was a thriving sport and it grabbed the working class attention more so than the likes of football and things like that back in the day. you would have to rebuild the sport from scratch, which it needs anyway. It needs top to toe demolishing and starting again because these people running it have no idea.
Do you think moving it back to Wednesday could help?
It could help, but it wouldn't get it anywhere near back where it was.
Can you remember growing up, John? Like sweepstakes?
If you made the middle free, that would be better than moving to the Wednesday for me.
Yeah. It felt as big as the National for me as a kid on the Wednesday.
Yeah, it was, but that was because it was part of the fabric of society, wasn't it? You know, more people cared about betting and racing, and betting shops. Yeah,
I like the fact that I got one off school for it rather than National Day when I was off anyway. I mean, I was took the 2 days previous for the National meeting off anyway, but I did like the fact that my school week ended on the Tuesday, first week in June.
yeah.
I can remember I think I was about 11. My dad had got a betting shop and owned a betting shop, and I was sat under the counter because obviously they're very strict in back then anyway. If you ever got caught like with kids on premises,
She should have opened up a fucking takeaway in Blackpool. They love kids in there, don't they?
I had £5 on El Gran Senor. It was the old Extel commentary, and I can remember I felt like being sick because obviously Secreto.
God,
yeah,
what misery from an early age.
For an early age, yeah, you can always remember that. And my dad said to me, "Well, that'll teach you, won't it? Now, no more spending money for a month."
Yeah.
But that, again, it does. It's kind of a life lesson, isn't it? As a young age, it's like, oh, well, no more spending money now. You decide to have a fiver on that at 4 to 5.
Yeah.
See, I got lucky with my first one.
Go on.
I had a Basil Brush money box.
Bum, yeah. Mr. Roy.
I used to get £1 a week pocket money.
Yeah.
And I was a miserly bastard, honestly. It all just went in the money box all the time. We were going to Scarborough late June. Something was on Cricket Festival or something that they wanted to say anyway. And I wanted to back the Minstrel in the derby. And I said, I'm smashing my money box. And he said, oh, yeah, are you? I said, yes. I said, I think it'll win. And he said, well, look, put it this way. He said, if you have the contents of that money box on the Minstrel, he said, don't come running to me if it gets beat. I think he fancied blushing, don't be honest. And as luck would have it, I smashed the money box, got £17 out, and the lot of the Minstrel at 10-year-olds. Gamble safely, folks.
Bloody hell. Chris Pull there, Chris. He's going to be...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Decades old booms or trumpets.
That's the one, 1977. I was like fucking Rockefeller walking down Scarborough, £112.
I wouldn't even have £17 on now. Fucking.
That's absolutely mental. Like I said, that is a mental stake as well. Because,
yeah, it is.
Like I say, a fiver to me then, around that time, even like as a teenager or
Yeah,
like,
it was crazy.
Like, plenty back then. If you had a fiver on one, fucking
hell. Now, yeah.
But the point being, if that had got Bately, he wouldn't have given me a fucking bean. Not a bean. Promise you, that is fucking true.
Well, it's like a baptism of fire there, John. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. I like people that announce themselves into the game, as you did back in the day, back in the Minstrel. That's how to do it. Don't fuck about. Just
have the fucking lot on, yeah.
Listen to this, kids. Always gamble carefully. Don't fall for the consequences.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
There you go.
Len's been on, and he said, what current UK election party leader will be best to take over racing and make it a functioning product again, and why? We don't need to go here, right? Public people at the moment, in other words, the public sector, the civil service, the politicians, are all utterly fucking dreadful, right?
Yes.
And they are not skilled. They're not skilled people. They are skilled in the mastery of fuckwittery and lies and spin. That's about all they've got. They have got absolutely no skill sets whatsoever. And why? Because the private sector pays more, Chris.
It does. But unfortunately, even many people in the private sector running corporations and companies of all sizes are equally unskilled. You see, we kind of live in a world where the message is more important than the underlying deed. So you get all these, even in a corporate world, you get all these spin doctors and PR merchants, etc. because nobody wants to be shown to be wrong. No one actually wants to do anything meaningful. That's why we have got no manufacturing industry in this country. No one wants to fucking make anything. They want to sit behind a desk and talk about making things or putting a PowerPoint together about making things. So we've got a whole bureaucratic class within the private sector and public sector. So they're all useless. So the answer to the question is none of them.
Yeah.
Nobody.
I think John, you'll agree with that, won't you?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
Hitler. No, he's not English
Yeah.
yet.
I think the current leader to take over racing is standing right in front of us, and you're both missing a trick, are you?
go on.
It's none other than little Rishi Sunak. He can pass himself off as an Arab. He's no stranger to corruption and sexual proclivities. Also, he's short enough to say he's an ex-jockey, so he'd get the job anyway.
Yeah, he would be. No, 101 for that. Yeah, very good. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, I like the analysis there, John. Absolutely. Chris Pull has been on.
Right. With a question from last week.
Yeah. It's good. This. How is that spacing out races for Premier Racing working out in your views, John? It's not working. This is it.
Nah, it's just bollocks, isn't it? It's the old tinkering while Rome burns, isn't it? I'd call it fiddling, but they're running out of fiddles.
Yeah, it's like your house is on fire and trying to put one room out, isn't it?
Deck chairs on Titanic, isn't it? That's it.
Yeah.
Idiot. So, Chris, yeah, it's not. Andy McGay's been on. Right, go on to sort of like a bit of the Royal Ascot theme now. Will anyone be able to predict how the straight track at Royal Ascot will ride this year? I simply say, John, like last year, chariot form.
Follow the wagons.
Follow the wagons. The path the wagons take. Look what line they take and the marks and indentations they do. Because as we know, in the past, when the doctors have gone up a certain rail behind the runners at certain tracks, or they take a certain path, what they're doing is essentially drying the ground out. I mean, if you ever watch the British Rally in Clumber Park and it's muddy as hell, and then you see the public that tread down a path and it compacts the mud and it makes it drier and obviously it dries out.
You know what the best thing is about this, Lee, as well?
Yeah.
This racing line that's created by our betters as they enter the arena. It's never going to alter because it's always going to be bang up the fucking middle. So they're maximum distance away from anybody wanting to egg them.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Ailey Turner more or less said that and said when she won on Docklands and someone asked why haven't more people tried that stands rail, and she come out with the excuse that well, it's too close to the crowd.
Too close to the public, yeah.
I bet she's been in her own procession.
Probably. She'll not be long before she's invited to sit in the carriage.
No.
What we want is all these like lords from the sort of back classes of the Blue Bloods in these carriages that are really fat. Yeah. The fatter they are and the heavier the carriage, right, the more indentation on the track.
Yeah, big fat bastards.
Big fat lords. Yeah. Look for the big fat lords on the parade. If you see them, you'll see the tracks and the indents. Back the horses in running that are on that part of the track. I'll guarantee you it's quick.
This is excellent. Can we sell this system to GGs and
yes, subscription service?
This is groundbreaking. Yes. It happened last year. It was blatant until the ground got quicker towards, I think, the back end of the week. I think it was the early part because it ended up like pretty puddingy to start the meeting.
He's going to aim for good, isn't he? That little.
Oh yeah, an idiot. Yeah.
Fat bastard form, we should call it.
Yeah, so we'll implement fat bastard form and back the middle draws early on.
Fat bastard chariot form for Royal Ascot.
Yeah.
Listen up, listeners. You'll no longer need to listen to any of our previews during the Ascot week. You know exactly what we're doing.
We've given you a system. All you got to do now is apply it. So watch for the carriages. Ascot is around the corner, says Ronnie Omelette, and with the hullabaloo that welcomes the Royals down the centre of the track in their pomp, how would the bar stewards triumphantly arrive?
Who do you want first?
Well, I need to think about this. This is a good question. I didn't see that one.
I'll have a stab then in the main.
Go on.
I'd be in a rally car driven at speed by Lewis Hamilton, slaloming from one side of the track to the other. Culminating in a handbrake turn, firing me into the weighing room where I can say, follow them tyre tracks, you cunt.
Yeah, that'll do. I like that. Yeah.
I don't think I can beat that.
No, I think I'd ride in one of them clown cars where the fucking doors fall off and the bonnet blows up.
They think you were at VHS.
And I'd break down right on the winning post. So I haven't got
Yeah.
AA, can't tow this fucker away. Yeah.
Everyone would actually say that's the BHA mobile.
Yeah, quite right, yeah.
Oh, you Jolie, give it a wave.
Yeah, give him away, fuck off. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, that's Ascot done for us then.
Mm.
So we've sorted you out with that. Bert from Doncaster. I like Bert from Doncaster. He's
Yes.
always asking questions.
He's all right, is Bert, yeah.
He says he's totally bald.
Yeah.
Billiard ball head. Do you polish it? That's another question.
Yeah, like Pledge he uses, fucking give it a
You
sheen.
rub it and make it shiny when you go out. Like, you know.
Mr. Sheen, yeah.
Yeah, the restaurant kitchen where I work insists on me wearing a hairnet despite being completely bald.
Fucking hell. Yeah.
What's the most pointless thing other than this podcast? You're right there, mate.
Well, nothing.
That you've ever been asked to do.
Go to work, I think. Work, yeah.
It was back in COVID times because I couldn't stop laughing during COVID at several of the rules that were made up that I just belly laughed at. And one was at Catterick Racecourse, as I've said, I think I might have mentioned on the previous show, where the paying public stood around the parade ring were maskless. But if you wanted to go into the middle, you had to wear a mask. And it's outdoors. If that's not the most... That is the most pointless thing I've ever seen in my life, or the most stupidest thing. If that is not stupid, you can't all even laugh now and say how stupid was that.
It's certainly without point, isn't it?
You're struggling a bit when you've got like about 200 heavy breathing people around the paddock, including Adam Norman with his corned beef and piccalilli sandwich, eating all that.
There's a big mare in the paddock. You know where the heavy breathing's coming from, don't you?
Yeah. But I would say that. Chris, you anything pointless?
I would be exactly echoing that. The whole COVID thing was just I don't know, it was a psyop, wasn't it?
The supermarket thing was the best. Well, probably even better than that, really. But anyway, what I've been personally asked to do was that Catterick Racecourse, you have to wear a mask to enter the parade ring when everyone else didn't have to wear one outside of it.
Yeah, I mean, absurd, isn't it?
That is absolutely absurd. Including every person that's ever been part of a sermon or preview, who'd be the most likely to end up on Racing Creeps? Says Matthew Forth. Fantastic question.
Yes.
I've had a real good think about this. It's a really hard one. One of the funniest things I ever saw, I forget his name, he was a former columnist for the Sporting Life. Tony...
Was it Stafford?
Yeah, that's the one. Tony Stafford. And someone went through his likes on Twitter and he was liking all these birds with big tits.
Oh, how awful. Lock him up.
He didn't...
Wasn't it Jeff Lester, that?
Oh, no, that was Jeff Lester.
Oh, right. Sorry,
Tony Stafford.
That's an apologies to Tony Stafford.
Cease and desist letters on its way to...
It wasn't Tony Stafford. Apologies to Tony Stafford. It was Jeff
Mrs.
Lester.
Stafford, if you're listening, your husband's not a perv.
She slung him out, look.
Yeah, when Matthew Forth's question come up, that was the first thing I thought of, Jeff Lester, not Tony Stafford. But yeah, that was funny because went through all his likes and obviously he didn't realise that were public and he were liking all these birds with their tits out and all sorts. And
yeah, magic.
Yeah.
Good luck to him.
But right, so who's ever been part of a sermon or a preview? I don't know. It's like one of them. He's probably all of us, isn't it?
Yeah, well, fucking, yeah. Fucking, we're 5 to 6 each and 3 here now, isn't it?
It's bound to be something, but...
I think the standout is Nev the Vicar Ender, actually.
Oh!
Everybody thinks he's sugar and space, but he's got a dungeon there at Malton that makes Marcella look like the story room from the Wagon.
Fucking hell.
And I think they tell the propensity to vote Joe Mason all the time as well. For the fancy runners.
Yeah.
He's gagging to put Joe up on a winner.
Yeah. There's a bit of that in all of us.
What, there's a bit of Joe Stafford and all the other way around. Joe Mason at Joe Stafford.
If evolution, gentlemen, right? Evolution. Yes. Where have we evolved from? Caveman brings meat. Other caveman bangs caveman overhead to get meat and then gets the women because he's got the meat.
Hey, you Charles Darwin? It's like being in the room with Charles Darwin explaining evolution.
Well, we've evolved.
Do you reckon that's what it was then? Do you reckon Darwin, it was just beating people over the head?
I reckon it's going to reverse. It's damn sight quicker than it took place,
Yes.
to be honest. I think
Yeah.
another 1,000 years we'll be back up the fucking trees.
Well,
I think so, yeah.
is that how life works, though? Do we obliterate and then re-evolve? There's evidence through time that through the Egyptians that we had technologies then that were like considered impossible for that particular period.
Francis Crick, when he looked at the DNA, Lee, said that there was evidence of a sideways insertion of DNA coding that just he couldn't work out, and nobody can work out what it was for and where it's from. But there is a theory that says that you're right, there was an artificial injection of technology, not only just sort of in terms of equipment, but in terms of DNA technology, which has caused several leaps forward in society over millennia. So Bob Lazar told me that as well.
It is, yeah. We're going to Bob Lazar, but we don't mind a bit of that because that's it.
No, we like that.
I think societies form and collapse because I think the human nature is to probably eat itself because obviously through either greed or
well, let's be fair, if we were double jointed, most of us would.
Well, there you go. Interesting stuff there. So Racing Creeps, good channel. That a lot of fun. Kate Tracy appears to get a lot of hammer on that.
She sees it every week, isn't she? You know, you can't tell me those pictures aren't posted to elicit comments from a certain demographic. I mean, fucking hell.
I think it improves her profile, to be honest.
Of course it does.
It gets her in the public domain, and fair play if you're on that sort of career path.
Yes, if you like that sort of thing, go
Not for me.
Can't we get her in the box at the Ava?
Unlikely.
I don't think she's a Barstewards fan.
No, not so.
Rap podcast being on. Why do men have nipples?
Fuck I know. Go on Google. How fucking women meant to know that? Jesus.
Only thing I would say is, from my limited knowledge, is that
you got massive tits, haven't you? Really?
I have.
So, I think you're a bit of an outlier.
They're a good set. They might be C's.
Double E's. Yeah.
No. Come on. We can't, I'm realistic. C's. I'm saying C's.
Okay, C.
Yeah, you probably a C cup would probably do.
C cup.
Like,
double J's.
Yeah. Right. So apparently, this is what I learned as a youngster. That apparently that everyone's born with nipples because the gender doesn't develop until a certain. So the nipples are already there.
Yes.
Before the gender is assigned. And then obviously, if you're a woman, obviously then you get tits, and if you're a man, you get tits if you eat a lot.
Wow, are you a doctor?
So we're all non-binary at birth then.
What's non-binary?
Might be that. It might be someone else. I don't know. There's all this.
I don't even know what
LGBT, queer, whatever, isn't it? And
yeah. I don't get all this.
I heard an interesting fact, completely a real non sequitur here, but you know when we say people's position in the metaphorical totem pole, right? You know, the North American totem pole. You know, the higher up you are, the racing's totem pole. I learned this week that in fact, in Native American culture, the symbols at the bottom of the totem pole are the most important and the most revered. So, in fact, the higher up you are in the Native American totem pole, the less importance you are to the tribe.
Well, so is every aspect of society. If you go back to that mural that Corbyn got really sad for liking, the lads propping the fucking table up with the fucking bad lads sat round it, they were the most important.
It reminded me of that. That's absolutely right, isn't it? We revere people that produce nothing, but we revere them only because they're wealthy. But the people that are actually making the shit work, right at the bottom, no one cares about. Yeah. So, the North American Indians recognise that.
No, good stuff. Right, next question. We've got two left. One from Rory Mack, and this is quite a fun one. This is from last week. You might not have seen this one because he asked it last week, and I've remembered to ask it. So, reminiscing back to sort of primary school and secondary school, our class would go to the swimming baths. Yeah. They'd line up behind the teacher. And like a hammer thrower, he would fire him into the pool, chuck him in, right? Right.
A lot of kids around.
So he says, what school day practices, behaviour do you remember that definitely would not be acceptable now?
Right, I can tell you from personal experience, where I schooled up to the age of 12 was next to, I'm not going to say where, but it was next to an approved school, right, for young women who'd suffered particularly traumatic events in their life. So girls that had terrible things happen to them. And I remember the practice used to be Friday afternoon. This is absolutely true. All the kids used to sort of gather round the corner, which by a fence, which overlooked this school, And we used to watch Jimmy Savile turn up in his Rolls Royce and collect some of these young girls and take them out. And all the kids were waving at Jimmy Savile. That's absolutely true. So I suspect nowadays that wouldn't be allowed.
Wow.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, literally right next to Duncroft School, I went there, and
It would probably be allowed, but it'd have to be under cover of darkness.
yeah, he'd have underground car park, wouldn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah, now, yeah, so you
Bloody
couldn't see
hell.
him from the road. Yeah,
I mean, for me, language has just changed so much. And at school, bullying was classed as like getting, I don't know, smashed in the face and called a fatty or whatever. You know,
Yes.
anything like Roland Browning in Strange.
Roland, yeah.
I'm trying to help you, Roland.
Roland,
You
go
know,
away.
Teachers in general as well were very harsh. I mean, I've said before, like on cross-country runs, I'd run with my mates at back because like they're all fatties. Teachers running behind you saying, "Look at you've got tits," and come on, boss.
Sadists, weren't they?
And if that went on now, these teachers would not only be struck off, they'd probably be prosecuted.
Before John, I remember absolutely true. There was some kid that was completely disruptive, and the teacher dragged him up the front, made him stand at the front of the class with his hands behind his back, and ordered the rest of the class to get into single file and queue up to punch him in the stomach. And if you didn't hit him hard enough, you used to get a whack round the head. That's absolutely true. Until this kid was doubled up in agony, and he was told to go and sit down again. And that happened.
Yeah.
That was in a state school, no problem.
Yeah, I was talking once and when I shouldn't have been, and this teacher decided to throw the board rubber at me. You know, the one with the wooden head on, like the board. That
fucking right.
And
Yeah.
it literally missed my head by about. I felt it whiz past. It hit nobody. It hit the back of the room. I reckon if that had hit me in conch, that would have been a hospital job.
I bet you that was deliberate miss, because those fuckers never missed with chalk or a board rubber.
No.
They've been doing it for so long, they could fucking land it on a tank from 100 yards away.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah. The kids these days, they don't know they're born.
They don't know they're fucking born. When I was your age, I had a rifle over my arm going over the top. Now go and get me my fags. What my dad used to say,
John, anything at your school when you were growing up?
Yeah, I think I might have mentioned before, I used to run a boat at school.
Yeah.
And because of the fact that kids were too fucking thick to get racing, I just used to flip the prices completely on their ass. So the strongly backed favourite was like 33 to 1 and unfancied. None of the kids went anywhere near, or if they tried to back it, I just laughed at them and they changed. So even if they back winners, they were backing 33 pokes at 5 to 4 and things like that. So
33,000 to 1, please. Yeah,
I was making easy money, and then somebody fucking bubbled me. This history teacher came and collared me out of the class. He called him Atkinson. And he said, "This is it for you, Lang." And he took me to the headmaster's office. They actually broke a cane on me hand.
Fucking hell.
Such was the venom that they struck me with.
Yeah. Normal. I mean, that
the
was
cane
normal, yeah.
fucking snapped. I mean, what a wallop. Unbelievable. Unacceptable now by a damn sight. And I mean, he proper fancied it, this Atkinson. He said, "This is it for you, Lang."
And unacceptable by standards then.
Yeah.
Violence against children, wasn't it, really?
Bit sadistic, because like I would say, I had slipper, and I found were weird. You had to wait outside headmaster's office. Then you went in headmaster's office, and you got it with your own slipper, pumps, your gym pumps.
Yeah.
He pulled your pants down.
Oh,
yeah,
fucking hell. But you were a teacher at the time, Lee. That was the problem.
Imagine that now.
Yeah.
He said to me, "Pull your pants down." So I pulled my pants down.
You go jail, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
And rightly so.
Yeah, times have changed. Final question. We come on to Samuel the cat, of course.
Yes.
And he said, if you could get a hypnotist to hypnotise a celebrity or famous woman into fancying you, God, his fantasies must be bizarre.
God, degenerate.
Which famous woman would you get the hypnotist to work on? Well, I've thought about this.
I bet.
No. I don't like all these Hollywood the shit. So I would say Taylor Swift, but it wouldn't be to fancy me. It'd be to give me all the money.
Yeah, fucking right. Yeah.
The absolute lot. And then maybe I'd do something weird, like sing a song about me after.
Yeah. Mr. Lee, he made me sing.
What a good.
I don't know, something like that. But that'd be mine. when people say about famous women and people, mostly detestable.
Totally.
Kardashians, all these
Oh, fuck off, yeah.
absolute
Fucking
ramble.
cunt.
No, no. It's one that no. It's like Davis. No.
No.
That's how I feel, anyway.
Yeah, you just want the dough, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
want the dirt. Yeah, John.
Absolute no-brainer for me, this.
Go on.
The old brass, Queen Camilla.
Why? You hate her?
Absolutely. What better way than to bring down the monarchy?
Yeah, that's a
To
good one.
release a story of me doing her in every orifice imaginable, laughing while I do it. I'm full of it.
What would you do then? Would you like go at press and everything and say, look at
Oh,
this?
straight up, yeah, everywhere.
So, John, by press, last week, who did you take down last week? Press, what was it?
Now there's the American investors.
Yeah, the American investors. You got them to invest loads in the BHA and racing. And this week, you've took down the royal family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I'm really not to be trusted.
It's like Che Guevara, isn't it?
Imagine John with power.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. Chairman Mao.
Power
you
corrupt,
can
and I'm
imagine
already corrupt.
Yeah, I love it. Chris, anything to add to this?
Well, not really. I think people in the public eye, particularly women in the public eye, they're all so vacuous. So, no, I'm kind of like you. I just want the Reddies, wouldn't you? At our time of life, that's all we want is the dough.
Yeah, Reddy's and a good dinner.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that'll do me. And a cream egg.
Indeed. We're going to wrap it up on that. We're sorry if we didn't get to your questions, and we'll do our best on the thread that you've left questions on, John, to answer them personally going forwards. Great show, and we're back again, of course, next Sunday. So that's all from me, Chris, John. Bye for now.